My name is Jay, and I'm just your typical hardworking dad. You know, I take care of my daughter. I work hard the Monday through Friday. It's a good deal. I live a normal life, but I did not come from a normal life. And I would like to share with you a little bit about myself. So I come from a poor background, your typical poor background. You know, food stamps, some days not even really eating full meals, maybe one meal a day. You know, no AC, homelessness. And from an early age at 14, I was completely homeless on my own since then. And the odds would stack against me from the area that I come from and my older brother going to jail. And that's the route that I was going. But thanks to God, I did not do that. I have a moment where I was sitting at this bank under the drive-through of a bank, and I was crying. And I was like a week into being homeless, and I just had an epiphany that I was never going to allow my family to do the same, or my kids to live like that. And I knew that I did not want to live the life that I was living. So I decided to go ahead and get a job. And my older brother was in jail, and I was 14 at the time. So I used his ID to get a job. I provided for myself. I ended up living in a shed of a good friend of mine for several months, and I couch hopped a lot. I was living in Florida, so I lived on the beach. There was this big tree that they used at this park every year for like the Christmas lights and whatnot. And I ended up sleeping in that because it was like kind of hollowed out in the inside. So I just continued to work my ass off, and I just didn't want to live that life. So I continued to go to school. And going to school, you know, no one knew, truthfully, no teachers or no admin knew that I was homeless and had no parents at all. I signed everything every year. I had a family friend, I will say, help have a phone call that was needed, that, you know, to pretend basically. And I managed to do something that would be against the odds, and I became valedictorian of my high school. And something I'm pretty proud of, especially coming from the background that I do. So although I was in a rough situation and I was working and being homeless and being just a kid with no guidance, I still managed to graduate my high school as valedictorian. And that's something that I'm pretty proud of, you know. I worked really hard for that. I ended up joining the military, and my entire life changed. And I would like to show you some of my achievements, both civilian and military, that I worked really hard for. And I just want to share it with you guys. It's not to show off or to brag, but it's more to show you that you can come from some pretty hard circumstances and make something of your life. I'm going to show you some important ones here. This is my combat action badge. This is me being rated as the #1 sergeant for 4 years in a row. Pause as needed. I got to be a border agent in Kuwait. That was really cool. I was the Distinguished Honor Graduate for my Advanced Leaders course. I had a 99.3 GPA. Worked really hard for that one. Really hard for that one. I was a gunnery sergeant at the time. Then I became the health and fitness director when I was in Korea on Camp Hovey. So this was my reward for that. I was the brigade pregnancy postpartum physical training leader, which is basically all learning how to deliver a baby, help women with both pre and postpartum exercising so that they could get back to their units, and or it was for civilians as well, for spouses. So there was 300 people at any given time. Here I was honor graduate in basic training. That was fun. I was honor graduate in my tech school. I was honor graduate and on the commandant's list for my basic leaders course. It was a little tough, but it was fun. This was for valedictorian in high school. I have Army Volunteer of the Year ×2. And was also the leader of the National Society of Leadership in Hawaii when I went to college, where I got my degree at. Honestly, there are several other things. I could tell you guys stories for days, like climbing Mount McKinley and just all these different experiences I've had in life that I think are pretty unique, including being one of the strongest people in the world. I have multiple records for powerlifting. I've bench pressed over 500 pounds, and I'm on my way to being a professional arm wrestler now. So I'm running out of time here, but this is just some accomplishments of my life, and I just thought I would share them with you guys to show you that yes, you can fucking do anything, man. All right, love you all. Peace.